Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, lovers and seekers, those who are lost and those who are found. Tonight, we have something a bit different, if you will. Tonight, we have a Facebook post from a friend of mine. This post is 2 sentences long. I'm not quite sure what to call it, that is, how to categorize it. But that matters not. So let's get going. This Facebook post was put up by my friend in arms, Rose Annie. This post reads as follows. Look, I may not be the prettiest or the smartest, but I'll tell you one thing, I'm not the nicest either. Please stop talking to me. And that's it. All of it. Let's read it again, just for good measure. Again it reads, Look, I may not be the prettiest or the smartest, but I'll tell you one thing, I'm not the nicest either. Please stop talking to me. And so, let's begin. There's something perfect about the way humor becomes a shield. It's like watching someone draw a line in the sand with a smirk. You can hear the echo of pain behind the punchline, but the delivery is too sharp, too quick to let pity enter. That's what this post is, a small act of emotional self-defense dressed up as comedy. The kind of truth that sounds like a joke so no one has to ask if you're all right. I may not be the prettiest or the smartest. That's a line built from a lifetime of preemptive strikes. Before the world can reduce you, you reduce yourself. Before anyone can point out your flaws, you name them, and then go one step further. But I'll tell you one thing, I'm not the nicest either. It's a move of brilliance. What begins as self-deprecation turns into self-possession. The humor flips the power dynamic. You start an apology and end in refusal. And then the last line, the dagger, the boundary, the laugh that cuts both ways. Please stop talking to me. That's not cruelty. That's exhaustion. The voice of someone who's been overexposed to unwanted commentary, praise that comes with a hook, criticism that masquerades as advice, attention that feels like invasion. Please stop talking to me is the last available form of peace in a culture that confuses access with intimacy. The post reads like a joke, but what it's really saying is, I'm tired of being made into a project. That's the thing about being a woman, or anyone really, who's learned to survive by irony. You're told from every angle what you should be. Softer, harder, funnier, calmer, more grateful, less loud, less sad. After enough years of that, the only authentic response left is to make fun of the entire process. It's not cynicism, it's realism with bite. Bernard would say, this is not cruelty. This is clarity. To be not the nicest doesn't mean unkind, it means unwilling to perform sweetness as survival. Niceness is often demanded by those who want your compliance. It's the tax on your existence. But there's a quiet revolution in rejecting that performance. To say I'm not the nicest is to say I have stopped pretending that comfort is my job. Think of the centuries of politeness expected from those with less power. Smile, say thank you, accept the compliment, tolerate the intrusion, nod at the joke. To break that cycle is to risk being called difficult. So be it. Difficulty is the beginning of integrity. There's a moment, it happens around the middle of a life, or maybe just after a long series of betrayals, when you realize that you don't owe anyone your personality. You can still be good without being agreeable. You can still care without entertaining every conversation that finds you. That's what "please stop talking to me" means. It's not rudeness, it's reclamation. And yet, underneath the defiance, there's fatigue. You can feel it in the pacing. The sentence is almost too well rehearsed, like something that had to be said again and again until it became a script. That's how defenses work. They start as reactions and become habits. The wit that saves you 1 year can isolate you the next. Because humor, when used too long as armor, starts to calcify. You end up performing the independence you once needed. The words that protected you now prevent you from being touched. Please stop talking to me is safety, yes, but it's also loneliness echoing through a joke. I think about all the people who say things like this online, not because they mean to push everyone away, but because they need to mark the edge where self-respect begins. They've learned the hard way that openness is often mistaken for invitation. Bernard would say, there's no shame in wanting distance. The soul needs space to breathe. The modern world doesn't believe in silence, It mistakes every pause for absence, every boundary for coldness. But there's a sacred kind of warmth that only grows in solitude. The one who says, "Please stop talking to me," might just be trying to keep that warmth alive. Still, I hear something else too. A tremor. A wish buried in the sarcasm. I want to be known, but not handled. The internet has made that almost impossible. You show a sliver of yourself, and people swarm it with comments, interpretations, projections. You can't be half visible anymore. It's all or nothing. So this kind of humor becomes the middle ground, self-expression without vulnerability. A confession that closes itself mid-sentence. It's a strange freedom, to mock your own image before the world can misread it. It's also a quiet tragedy, because beneath the laughter, there's someone who once wanted to be seen gently. Someone who might have tried softness and found that it cost too much. Someone who decided that self-mockery was safer than hope. That's the hidden ache in this meme. The line between empowerment and resignation blurs. Still, there's beauty in the defiance. It's the beauty of the cracked mirror that refuses to flatter. When a person says, "I'm not the nicest either," they are refusing the double bind that traps so many. If you're hurt, you must stay humble. If you're angry, you must apologize. No. Sometimes the truest kindness you can give yourself is to become a little bit unpleasant. Let the world call it attitude. Let them say you're cold. Only you know how many times you were kind and got burned. Only you know how many explanations you gave to people who never earned them. I think Bernard would look at this post and nod, maybe even laugh. Because behind that deadpan humor, he'd see a person who finally stopped auditioning. He'd say, "You're not mean. You're just done pretending that politeness is peace." But he'd also add, softly, maybe to no one in particular, that real strength isn't the refusal to care. It's the refusal to care on command. That's the paradox of the tough joke. It says, "I am finished with you, but not with myself." The wall isn't made of bitterness, it's made of tiredness. And behind it, there's still a person who feels deeply, maybe too deeply. To understand, that is to read this post correctly. The humor isn't cruelty. It's a language of survival for those who've had to smile too much. The harshness isn't hostility, it's an invitation to leave in peace. And maybe that's what most of us need to hear sometimes. It's okay to tell the world to stop talking to you. It doesn't make you cruel, it makes you human. The constant chatter, the endless commentary, the performance of connection, it wears the mind down. The soul needs the silence to remember its own voice. Please stop talking to me. There's peace in that sentence once you stop hearing it as rejection. It's a small rebellion against the tyranny of availability. It's someone saying, "I exist beyond your reach, beyond your need for entertainment, beyond the constant exchange of words." In a world where everyone is shouting for attention, there's something deeply sacred about choosing quiet. It's not withdrawal, it's a declaration. I am enough company for myself. So yes, she may not be the prettiest or the smartest or the nicest, but she is something rarer, honest. And honesty, when spoken through humor, becomes its own kind of art form. What looks like indifference is sometimes the last, fierce defense of dignity. And if you read it right, past the laugh, past the sting, you'll find a tenderness there too. The tenderness of someone who's learned that self-respect begins with the words, "Please stop talking to me."